So yeah, Glass. This was the third chapter in the Unbreakable Split Glass trilogy, or Unbreakables trilogy, I guess.
By M. Night Shyamalan.
Trilogy, but yeah.
Which I know a lot of people have mixed feelings for, and yeah, he redeemed himself with Split, which ended up becoming the follow-up to Unbreakable.
For 16 years.
Yeah, and now Glass, here it is, the ultimate amalgamation of both stories put together.
Yeah, from what I read, the first cut of this movie was supposed to be 3.5 hours long, and then you had to trim it down to 2 hours and 10 minutes. And you can definitely tell how more time to this movie is split into like 3 parts. Each character gets their own act. Like Act 1 is Bruce Willis. The second part is mainly focused on Kevin McCloud, the Horde. And third is mostly focused on Samuel L. Jackson and his family. And are we gonna do spoilers or?
Yeah, let's do spoilers.
On. Yeah, let's spoil later on. So yeah, I was even warned. So what happens here is it's been 2. I read on Wikipedia. It's been 2 years since the events of Split. And Kevin Middlecombe is still on the run, and he happens to bump into David, who's played by Bruce Willis, and David can tell when someone's doing evil by bumping into them. And then he rescues these cheerleaders, and he gets taken against his will. And then after he rescues the cheerleaders, he fights the Horde. And then he knocks out a building, and they both get captured by these people who work for an insane asylum, and they both get detained. And then we have our movie. These three guys, these 2 guys, and Samuel Jackson trying to break out of the asylum.
Yeah. And for a while, I kind of felt like there was, and like we'll get to more of this in spoilers, but apparently this is all like Shyamalan, it's all part of the plan. I mean, if you know his directing style, he likes to, like the twists always have to come back to something. Yeah. So now, with 2 films established, you knew he was going to bring it back to the stories of both Unbreakable and Split. So
yeah, and like I said, the original cut for this movie was 3.5 hours, and it makes you wonder, like obviously, what I didn't like about what at first kind of made me nervous going into this film was the Rotten Tomatoes score. This movie had like 37 or 39% on Rotten Tomatoes and 45 on Metacritic. I think most of the complaints came from the fact that it didn't do much to explain the first 2 movies. But I'm like, okay, so it didn't do much to explain the first 2 movies, but movies like those 3-hour long, what are they called? The Hobbit movies, those movies require you to basically watch the first 2 movies without explaining what's going on in the first 2 movies. Those movies, everyone loves those. So I understand why people are so critical about Glass for requiring you to watch the first 2 movies in order to understand what's going on. When movies like those, like the Hobbit trilogy, which are like 3 hours long each, they both require you to have knowledge of the previous films in the series, and yet people love them. So this movie does not deserve to have a score that low on Rotten Tomatoes or Metacritic.
Yeah, I
37.
I ignored the trailers just because I wanted to be surprised.
Yeah, it was good.
Andrew, you.
Yeah. So I was more excited for this movie than I've been in a movie for a while, and it didn't live up to what I thought it would be, but it did live up to being a great movie. It was definitely different than what I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil anything. If anything, we should make a second video to spoil stuff.
Nah, it's fine.
But the ending was completely. I'm not gonna say what the ending was, but I didn't expect what to happen.
One thing that I really think killed this movie was the marketing. Like, it was marketed as being this. The first half of the movie was marketed before the trailers. The premise, according to Wikipedia, was David Dunn tracks down the beast in a series of escapades. So the first half of the movie was marketed as being like David Dunn fighting this guy, and the second half was going to be them being in the asylum after they've already fought each other and know about each other's strengths and weaknesses. But instead, they just it felt like they did kind of like a bum rush job, where they had to have them meet each other in the first 10 minutes, and then they just get captured. They're about to have a fight, and then it just, the movie, when they get to the asylum, the movie is good, but what leads up to the asylum should have been elaborated on more, in my opinion. Like I said, this movie was supposed. If this movie was 3.5 hours, I definitely would have liked it better, probably. But it wouldn't have done as well.
The thing about that is, the moment the dialogue came in, I was worried because it was Shyamalan going back to, like, Signs level of, like, boring dialogue.
Yeah,
Like,
the dialogue is somebody made a funny joke. Forget being on the nose. This dialogue is up the nose. Everything has to be like fisted in your face, like it's gonna this shove your face, like and then they shove up your nose in your face. Like, everything has to be so blatantly explained. What I think what M. Night Shyamalan trying to do is he's trying to break out from his previous two films and make this film stand on its own. But in doing so, what made his best films, Unbreakable, Sixth Sense, and Split, were so good were subtlety. Everything in this movie has to be split, and like I said, it's done in such a bum rush job. In the last movie, they spent the entire movie leading up to the fact, like hinting at the fact that Casey, when she was 6 years old, was molested by her uncle, and then it's finally shown off at the very end, like to the last 10 minutes. Here, it's like, oh, I was molested by my uncle, and then I put my uncle in prison, and I'm in the foster home with you. All these kids are nice to me. Okay, that's nice to know. I would have liked to see, more of her in the foster home, getting along with these kids in the foster home, or more of her uncle getting ass raped in jail for raping a 6-year-old. But anyway, and then they have to, like I said, it's good. It's good. The first 10 minutes felt really bum rushed and took away all the subtlety of what made M. Night Shyamalan's first few films so good. But at the same part, this was marketed as an action superhero movie more so than anything else. And I guess when it comes to action, it did its job.
I mean, M. Night Shyamalan movies, like they're marketed the wrong way.
Yeah, they're all marketed the wrong way. But sometimes with the Sixth Sense, that's a good thing, where you know what's going on until the very end, in a good way. And then you have stupid ways of marketing a movie like this, where you market it as a superhero action movie, and then the first 15 minutes is like a bum rush exposition job, and then then you get to the good stuff, and then that drags on for 10 minutes longer than it should, and then you get to the action scene, and then the last 10 minutes, and then it's over.
I mean, what did you think that it was gonna look like?
I thought it was gonna be more of I obviously knew there was gonna be like a whole bunch of psychiatric ward thing, but I thought the psychiatric ward would be like the first half of the movie, and then the second half them after Samuel L. Jackson and McAvoy teamed up. I didn't expect for it to be mostly in the psychiatric ward, so that was a little bit of a surprise to me. I wasn't really against the fact that it was, because you did see a lot of really cool stuff in there, and they had a lot of really, really good, underrated actors throughout the whole cast.
Yeah,
so that was a good thing.
Sarah Paulson
was good. I seen her? Was she in Gladiator? She runs with the girl from Gladiator.
I don't know if she was.
She looks a lot like the girl from Gladiator.
I know.
That movie came out 18 years ago, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, but I know what movies she's been in.
So
they're not on the tip of my tongue.
Well, are you talking about the I don't know the bad name, but the one that was in American Horror Story is probably a thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, she's in American Horror Story. Yeah.
So like I said, the first 15 minutes felt really rushed, but it didn't really hurt the film. It did do a good job but I think what hurt the most was the first 15 minutes is like a superhero, is like getting us to get reacquainted with a superhero, Bruce Willis, and the last everything after the first 15 minutes is all this other exposition that they have to dump on us very slowly, and it's not. And
we don't see Mr. Glass until we actually get.
And he doesn't even talk until the last half hour of the film. He's completely silent for the first 90 minutes of the film.
Well,
that's partially.
I guess I know it's part of what.
Yeah, that's partially because he's he's like a manipulator, you know.
Well, yeah. I guess that's kind of.
And okay, now I think what's important is it's really hard to talk about this movie without going into spoilers. I think we should definitely go into spoilers now. Okay, you've been warned. What happens is what killed this movie the most for me were the trailers. In the trailers, it's heavily hinted at that Sarah Paulson is one of these superhero beings, which she is in the movie. And in the trailers, she's part of this super top secret CIA group that's mission is to stop the spread of superheroes. And what happens is in the trailers, she says we were not meant to have this much power. So in the trailers, they pretty much all but flat out say that she is one of these superpowered people, and you make that the twist. Seriously?
Well, there were.
I don't think that's necessarily. I think the twist was that she didn't have any superpowers herself, but that
she was part of this super top secret CIA organization that was trying to stop the creation of superheroes.
That was one of the twists. Actually, the movie had like a couple more twists going in.
I guess instead of having one big twist, they had like 3 mini twists. There was the twist with Sarah Paulson, the twist with James McAvoy's character, how his father died on the train that Samuel L. Jackson's character blew up in Unbreakable, which was heavily implied. Which in Split we already got that. That was already implied in the first place, and that's not really a twist. We already implied it. And then there was
What?
Yeah, I remember in Split when he says Kevin's dad went on the train and the train derailed. It was already implied that he killed his father in Split, so that wasn't really a twist. Anyone who's a fan of Unbreakable could already figure that out. So, and then the third twist was how his mother abused him, and this was the one thing that really pissed me off. In Unbreakable, there's this like 10-second scene where you see this mom, she's walking with her like 10-year-old son, and then Bruce Willis bumps into her, and then you hear this screaming voice of the little kid saying, "No, mommy, don't!" And then you sort of think, okay, so they're going to elaborate. What I want them to do is elaborate on how Bruce Willis was also partially responsible for creating Kevin's personas by not stopping by not saving him from his abusive mother, and have a scene where like, oh my god, and I like a scene where he's like, I may be super powerful, but I can't save everyone. Have like a scene where Bruce Willis laments on the fact that he can't save everyone no matter how powerful he is. Have like a scene like, I thought it would have been cool if his son died instead of him, because he died at the end. Spoiler alert, we already spoiled you. And they drown him. The super top secret CA guys is masquerading as the SWAT team guys who stormed the Asylum, and they drown him because he's weak to water. That's his kryptonite. And then well, I thought it would have been better if his son died, and while he was weak and he was watching him kill his son, and no matter how he's like. And I have sometimes being a superhero, it just isn't enough. And then have some moment like that which causes Bruce Willis to go totally berserk.
Sorry. So just because I want to elaborate on what he was saying, Bruce Willis did die, and now that we're spoiling. James McAvoy also dies, and they show Sam Jack also close to dying. I think what this twist was that all of them died, and maybe Sam Jack actually survived, because both of those two never really have seen that much peril. Like, they've always just been outran on the most powerful things since they become.
That's the third twist, is that he reveals he had cameras hidden all over the place, and you think he told everyone that he was going to this Nakatomi or Osaka Plaza thing where they would have all these.
Well, he got them to put the cameras.
Yeah, to the cameras
to keep him. So they weren't even hidden.
So the third twist, mini twist, was that we think he's going to blow up this building with chemicals in it, but like the Joker. But instead, he's actually trying to spread the word of knowledge of all the superheroes. So those are the 3 mini twists. So instead of giving us one big twist, we just have 3 mini twists.
That's not even a mini twist, but that's a pretty big twist. Cause I didn't think that specific one, I didn't see at all where the guy killed the guy and that thing.
I think. Sorry.
Yeah, that helped. That I think was the big one that Shyamalan was really focusing on.
No, I agree. 100%.
Because and I think
that's what I thought.
It works. It works in a sense that, it does get, his real quest was getting the attention out on superheroes, and he knew he wasn't, and he knew, he's playing everybody like chess.
Yeah.
And I think that was the big one.
So anyway, let's go on to there's one. Is there anything we're missing? No. Oh yeah, I want to make a reference to how Mr. Glass dressed up in purple is like very reminiscent of the Joker in the Arkham Asylum games, taking over the asylum, where he's taking over the monitor system and all that stuff. That was pretty interesting.
Yes. I think him is like a take on flamboyant villains, whereas James,
but more subdued.
Yeah, whereas James McAvoy, limited amount of clothing, but very, very unlimited, strong.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, let's go on to acting. Bruce Willis was definitely the best, in my opinion, in this movie. A lot of people criticized him for his last few movies, like Die Hard 5, which was abysmal. Everyone hated that. And
it's Die Hard 5. Die Hard 5,
everyone hated that. It really sucked. Then there was also Red 2, which I thought was pretty okay.
I haven't seen that. I don't think anyone did.
Ever seen Red or Red 2?
No, I know what they are, but
it's their action comedy films. They're pretty funny. I thought that was a comedy movie, so obviously you didn't have to try that hard to be serious. So Bruce Willis really was committed in this role. Like you could really tell he wanted to do his best.
I put him in the actor that if you give him the right script, you will get a good performance from him. You know, they did it with Looper, and they did it here.
Yeah, but Looper sucked.
I like Looper.
I didn't like it. It was fun. It was goofy schlock. It was fun for what it was, but I just didn't, whatever. Anyway, so now that the whole world knows about these superheroes, there's going to be and then Shyamalan said that there's not going to be any sequels. I think what he means is that
I think he's
not
done with the trilogy.
He's not going to make any movies that center on these characters. He's probably going to make movies that take place in the same world of Unbreakable.
They're all dead.
Of Unbreakable, but follow different sets of characters with different powers, and that would be interesting. That would be interesting because instead of
I don't know where to go after like you killed like literally all.
But I think it would still be a sequel though if it has that one organization trying to stop.
Maybe make like a prequel where they have this like super secret government or CIA or whatever organization that's trying to mask the truth about superheroes. Maybe make a prequel focusing on them, like have a super secret government agency that kidnaps and kills superheroes, and then make another movie after that where they have to go in and save the superheroes who are being oppressed. Kind of like X-Men, and make it kind of like X-Men, I guess. Yeah.
Or just have like a David Dunn prequel. That'd be a cool one.
Yeah, that would be interesting. What was also interesting is how all the callbacks they did to Unbreakable, like they showed off footage from Unbreakable that they never showed off before, so you can see how I read that they were going to like introduce new footage from Unbreakable in this movie, and they did. They showed off when Joseph David's son was 12 years old, and you see when he's like admiring his father for being so strong, and then that was the same actor when he was a kid from 19 years ago, and then there was What else was I saying? I'm sorry, I getting lost in my thoughts. There was
there was obvious. I think during the train scene, I think they had one actor. They had like the actor who plays Kevin's dad in there.
Yeah.
They filmed him. They just filmed it, and then
spliced in footage from Unbreakable.
Yeah, that little wipe was like the Unbreakable footage.
We already knew that was how it was going to happen. Like I said, in my opinion,
I don't know if it like I knew they were gonna set it up as like a sequel to Unbreakable and all this was gonna tie in together. I honestly did not expect like the train thing to actually be like the catalyst of everything.
Like for me, I wanted to see more of Bruce Willis beating people up. Like we see him beat up these two people, these petty criminals who go around like playing the knockout game, and he beats them up, and like okay, then his son is like his Robin. His son is like his sidekick who helps him on the computer and stuff. The chair, yeah. So, I don't know. Like I said, I think the best thing in my opinion, what I would have done was have the scene where it shows Unbreakable, where he sees David as a 10-year-old child being abused by his mother, and he does nothing to stop her, and then that relates to him saying, even as a superhero, I could have stopped him, but I didn't, and because I didn't stop the abuse, this went on.
Oh, they set that up in Unbreakable?
Yeah, remember Unbreakable, the scene with the woman in the red coat and the 10-year-old little kid, and then he walks into her and he hears a little boy screaming, "No, mommy, please don't." Yeah. That was heavily implied that was him from when he was 10 years old, and now 19 years later, he grows up. So why like that? Everyone was hoping that they would go back to that. I was hoping a lot of other people were.
Yeah,
and I think this movie was good. Like okay, I wouldn't really say good standalone movie because it does require you to see the first two movies first. But if you have seen the first two movies, it does really disappoint you that they didn't do anything with the thing they set up in Unbreakable with him not saving the little kid from being abused by his mom. And so you can definitely tell how they could have done it differently. Like I said, I would have done it where have a scene where Bruce Willis said, "Okay, we both are responsible for creating this monster," or him and Elijah realized that they both created him. Elijah by killing his father, and Bruce and David by not helping him when he could have helped him. And then, like I said, have a scene where he has to pay for it, but for neglecting his child with his own child's life, with his own child's blood. And then have him become a vengeful anti-hero who goes on a quest to try and kill all these government assholes who try and oppress them. Do like a Darth Vader thing or like make him like an anti-hero. That would have been cool. Like a transitioning scene where you see him like slowly over time becoming more upset with the world and how people are treating him. Like I don't know. I just think that would have been a better ending.
I really, well, I personally thought, that I don't know. I guess Bruce Willis's character David Dunn got the worst end of the stick.
Yeah.
Like this was all about, honestly, this was all about Glass and Kevin most of the time. And, and I don't know, I felt like, I think Glass's idea was that, that sooner or later the superheroes were gonna turn down. I think there was gonna be one detail where he lets the hero live, but it didn't exactly happen.
Yeah. Also, I think what's interesting was how this movie it relates to real life where they're like, comic book. I'm the doctor is like, I'm observing this new phenomenon about people who believe they're superheroes, because in real life the superhero genre has changed so radically since the year 2000 when Unbreakable came out. So there's so much lore that they could have done with this movie, I think, and I think that it's nice they kind of like break the fourth wall away by saying that we're making this movie because now superhero movies are popular and superhero movies were popular 19 years ago. But I just think that they could have done so much more with a 19-year time gap.
I could have seen more reference to like more modern changes in the superhero lore or something like that.
Yeah, oh yeah, funny thing. I remember in the first movie they got this guy. I'm not sure if it's the same actor, but when Elijah in Unbreakable was in the back of the shop and he's like, dude, you better not be jacking off the Japanese comics. In this movie, he's like, dude, you better not be one of those Hello Kitty sickos. So it's kind of like a reference to the first movie.
Instead of Elijah, it was the son of Dunn.
It was Joseph David's son. Yeah, so that was a fun reference to Unbreakable.
Is it Joe or James?
What?
Is his name Joe or James?
The character's name is Joseph. David Joseph.
Okay.
They're David, Joseph, and Elijah.
Okay, my bad. I thought it was James.
Yeah, that was a fun reference to the first movie. So, yeah, I feel like this could have gone in so many different directions, but for what it was, it did what it was supposed to do. It wasn't trying to be this like magnum opus. It wasn't trying to be like this like insanely ridiculous, over the top superhero movie. And I think, like I said, they kind of broke the fourth wall by having him talk about how they don't flat out talk to the camera, but there's a scene where he's like, oh, I was just trying to trick you by making you think I was going to blow up this factory. In real life, I'm going to do this. And it was kind of anticlimactic, but in a good way. So I don't really hate this movie's ending. I just thought that they could have done more with it.
Yeah, I think that's everyone's kind of consensus. I don't know.
I personally actually kind of like the ending. I don't like when it's always like, let's have the good guy always win. I kind of like having something completely unexpected. That said, I don't really like the middle so much because they took so long to get to
what we wanted to see.
Action scene that was not as much action as you'd think it is.
Yeah,
it did allude that it's gonna have like, we're gonna have this huge action scene, but that was the whole plan. And the end, Samuel Jackson, it was almost like that one movie, Usual Suspects, where the person who's watching them is like, oh, that's what happened after the whole fact. But Samuel Jackson's character pretty much already crippled himself away.
And personally, I feel like, throughout the movie we did hit a bunch of like moments where, the explanations eventually outweighed so much that it was like, but I think the conclusion was, at least for me, was satisfying enough for me to say, oh, that's what's happening. Oh, that's what's actually going down. And
Yeah. So
I think it really. I think this movie deserves a little more love.
it's nowhere near as bad as I said. It's nowhere near 37% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not that bad. And like I said, Unbreakable. When it
Trust
first,
me, Shyamalan has done worse.
Yeah, I mean, Unbreakable. Like I said, that only got like 68 or 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. I checked.
Unbreakable?
Yeah, Unbreakable only got 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. That movie was awesome. I love the movie. So
yeah, obviously.
obviously, the people who review M. Night Shyamalan's movies, obviously, they're just not the type of people who enjoy his movies. They're just like. They want more, I guess, more action or more.
I guess they wanted more Sixth Sense.
More Sixth Sense, yeah.
Which, yeah, I mean, Sixth Sense is a good movie, but you can't make that again.
Yeah.
You can't replicate that excitement again, and Shyamalan knew that, and it took it takes a director it can take a director a long time to recapture something fresh and give us a good twist.
Yeah, or 3 mini twists in this case instead of one big one.
Yeah.
So is there anything we're missing? Okay, we got acting for. James McAvoy. He was excellent again as always.
Yeah, I'd say he was the best in the film.
Definitely.
He had to play so many different roles, and he did it seamlessly, especially when he has to change just on a nick of a dime. But
we did get to see a little bit more of his personalities than in Split.
I just and Anya Taylor-Joy was also good in this movie but she wasn't on screen that much.
She wasn't on screen, and I was like, and I mean, she could have played a bigger part in this. Yeah. I'll be honest, and but for all my complaints, I personally enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Like I said, the first 15 minutes or first act is very rushed, but it kind of needs to be. And I'm hoping that if the rumors are true that M. Night Shyamalan is planning to release the 3.5-hour cuts on Blu-ray when it comes out, maybe we could all review that and talk about the differences and see what else. I mean, this movie was 2 hours and 10 minutes, so.
That is if we ever get the 3.5-hour cut in the entirety.
Yeah.
Or. Who knows? Maybe we're gonna get we're gonna have a series of deleted scenes in the. I mean, who knows?
Or maybe he'll just use that unused footage like he did with the unused footage in Unbreakable.
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, yeah, who knows? This movie was kind of meant to, give us very alternate ideas of. It was supposed to kind of I don't know. It's not meant to blow your mind, but I think it was meant to make you kind of look at just deconstruct everything.
It's the deconstruction genre, like Neon Genesis Evangelion or whatever other or
Deadpool.
Or Deadpool, yeah. So it's ironic how he says this is the final film that he's gonna make in this series, but yeah, the entire point of this movie is basically to show you that there's more people in the world like them, and people who are tracking them down, and then you want to see more. So, what's his plan after this?
That's a twist.
That's for everyone else to decide.
Yeah, when I heard, because we were saying that this is gonna be the last of the series, when we were eating right before the movie. And I was just kind of thinking, it's M. Night Shyamalan, though. You can't trust what he says, because he'll purposely say things
it's
lead you a different way.
Yeah, so I guess it's a good lie. There's good lies and there's bad lies. There's good lies, where you're trying to protect a plot point, and I guess that's but... I mean, it all comes down to his money. If this movie makes $1 billion, then he's gonna make a sequel. Because this movie's budget was only $20 million, and for only $20 million, they did pretty well. But so if they make $1 billion on a $20 million budget, that's like making 500 times as much. 50 times as much money.
Yeah. And Shyamalan knows what to do with this with a reasonable budget, not one that's super big. And I don't know how much more money he got to make this than Split, but I'm sure judging from how much bigger this movie is, I think his plan was to make something to stretch out the stretch out the lore that was set in the previous two movies.
Yeah, what's interesting was the first movie in the series, Unbreakable, was published by Touchstone, which is owned by Disney, and the second movie, Split, was published by Universal. So this movie in America, it's being published by Universal, and internationally, it's being published by Disney. So I think what they're trying to do is, now that they have all the characters from Unbreakable are dead, they're going to try and focus mainly on that are owned by Disney. They're going to try and focus mainly on like one studio, because this movie was a joint venture for both Disney and Universal. So if I guess maybe he wants to focus more on his own original characters that aren't owned by Disney or Universal, maybe make a completely new set of characters that take place in the same worlds but aren't, like I said, aren't owned by any of them. I'm not sure, I'm not a copyright lawyer. I'm not sure how this stuff works. For all I know.
Well, actually, I don't know who has like final say in this.
Yeah.
But again, I think the studio that gave Shyamalan like the reasons to make Split and Glass was Blumhouse. And they're more of like an independent studio company that who knows, maybe they get the final say on it.
Yeah. Okay, well, speaking of final says, is there anything else you want to add? Andrew, is there anything else you want to add? What about Emil?
Yeah, I've basically said all I need.
Yeah,
okay.
You know? Music, they used the music from both Unbreakable and Split, and it fit really well.
I'm waiting for the Fresh Prince remix. First name Mr., last name Glass.
Yeah, that's fine.
Whatever.
Okay. So yeah, what I guess I could say is, last thing I want to say is, what would you want to see in a sequel or prequel or spin-off that takes place in this universe?
I think it'd be awesome to go to another city and have a whole new set of actors and heroes that all, like they said, whenever you have one villain or one superhero, you have to have the alternate. At one point they said that. And it was actually said that, I think in Unbreakable, Sam Jack was saying that.
Yeah,
So it'd be cool to see like a whole new origin story, whether it's before or after this movie, and then have this same group try to banish them as well.
Yeah. I think that was Glass's objective, to let these people with, uncanny abilities know that, there are others. They all exist. Yeah. And I don't know. I'm thinking maybe we're gonna get a movie with a group this time around.
Shyamalan Avengers. Oh, that'd be funny. Okay.
I think it might happen, but like,
yeah.
it's more small scale, and given how much of a budget his recent movies have gotten, I think it'll be a good time for that.
Okay, I think we're done.
All right.